Greetings, Marsh here, and welcome to episode 17 of my Industrial Revolution 3 playthrough. In this episode, we are going to expand our stone mining and get started making landfill. Enjoy. And we don't have cliff explosives quite yet. They're really not that far away. But to do that, we're going to need concrete. And concrete is a stone product, of course, so we're going to need to get more stone. This style of mine has worked pretty well. So how about we do the same thing with this mine up here, and hopefully it just survives the biters, because we essentially need to have a few things on hand here in order to make our expansion as painless as possible. One, we need landfill because of all these little splotches of water everywhere, and cliff explosives would be nice, but it may not be practical. We've been keeping pollution in control here, but we have a new build. It's mostly the same compared to what we've been doing. We just need some walls and some drills. But while we're doing that, we can get some more research taken care of. Certainly we'll want landfill. It is a stone item, but a little more complicated than in vanilla, where it requires gravel and silica, and those are ground down from stone. So other than that, it's pretty easy. And beyond that, how about we go into the combustion engine? It is just an iron item that we can make. But in doing that, we will unlock rails whenever we get to that point. But, interestingly, it does unlock modular armor. It requires some rubber and some other random things that we will have now. And it has a bigger equipment grid. It's now a 5x5. And it unlocks something very interesting. The portable steam engine converts pressurized steam cells into electricity. It's very interesting, but basically it gives you a small amount of electricity from your steam cells. So we can do that. We now have a little bit of electricity in our power armor for things like night vision, which is certainly good. And really the only other thing we can do right now is belt immunity, and it only costs 10 kilowatts in IR3. I think in vanilla it's more like 100. It's actually quite a bit, but nonetheless, we will want that. So we have some upgrades we'll be able to do. I don't think we really have any other items that we've unlocked that we haven't actually used for something yet that we needed specifically. Yeah, seems pretty good. We are caught up. Probably about to run out of iron, or I guess we have run out of iron. So time for another trip. Hopefully we are not too far away from not having to make any more of these. But I really don't want to set up a train network while there are still biters out there. So I would feel much more comfortable if we had everything walled off first, because mining outposts that serve trains can be very, very polluting. Okay, we should have most things that we need. So let's go on a little drive. This is pretty fast here. First, well, we already have a copy of it, but let's make a brand new one with everything in there. And then we need to start mining on this tiny patch, very close to rather large groups of biters here. And there's not a lot of trees either, so this might anger them quite a bit. Alright, let's get this positioned. Doesn't have to be perfect, because this is a relatively temporary structure that once we have the factory all walled up, we won't really need it anymore. And I guess one thing we do need to automate are these transfer plates. Time to build a road. I guess we can use the monowheel for this and do some very fast road length, because it will stick to going straight, so we can just go. Well, except for that. Well, it's not lasting very long. This will be a much longer drive than the other one, but not much we can do about that. And there we go. And are those picking up stone fast enough? Nope, we would need 6 of them. Well, that's all done. Guess we'll keep it going for now. We can get the stackers of both types. We're not really doing any stacking yet, but we might as well get it taken care of. Okay, I'm sure this is going to make some pollution, and hopefully it holds out with these scattergut turrets. Of course, we could upgrade our technology for military stuff, and we probably should. Let's get our stone secured first here. We'll use this vehicle as our mule. Might as well keep the robots in there for now. But we'll make a request for lots of stone. And we're going to need somewhere to deliver it. It would be kind of tricky, but it looks like the place it would need to deliver would basically be right here with an input priority on the right. And we could do a loader for this, but since we need to have all of these chests anyway, we should probably just keep them in there. And I guess we'll just drive on this one plate because it's within range. Let's switch it to the big plate. Okay, then let's make a test trip and see how it works. It's a much longer drive. Finally made it. Definitely won't be using this for bricks to pave the factory, just because it will be constantly consuming resources. But we do need to add this to yarn. So there we go. It's not a lot of stone, but it's enough at least so the factory won't just screech to a halt. So now we turn to the side and that cliff is annoyingly in the way, but nothing we can do about it. It's a little awkward driving this in here, but there we go. Well, still making bricks, but we kind of want to stop that from happening. I mean, I'll use the ones I have, but the recycling continues. All done there. Okay, we were talking about upgrading our military technology, so we might as well, since it seems pretty likely that the biters are going to start attacking us with that stone outpost. We finally get access to direct damage in the form of the submachine gun, and we can make iron magazines with iron parts and also iron cartridges for the shotgun. We'll review those when they're ready, but that gives us a couple more things, such as finally we have the auto gun turret. The design seems oddly familiar, but it's just a regular turret that now shoots bullets instead of shotgun shells. Also, because we had those two things, it now gives us access to the car. This is quite nice because, like the heavy rollers, it also has a storage size of 80, but it is much, much faster, plus it has a machine gun on it. Now granted, its equipment grid is much smaller, but for the purposes of going to faraway locations to gather resources, this is much better. And the last few things we can do are upgrading our damage and the shooting speed. Now we have the SMG. It has a longer range, but the shotgun actually has a minimum range. I don't recall that ever being a thing, but it says it's there. And if you look at the damage, it does, and I won't include the upgrades, where it does 10 a second of shooting, and that's 7 damage. So that's 70 DPS for the submachine gun, whereas the shotgun shoots at 1 per second, and it's nice that these numbers are easy to calculate, and exactly what it shoots depends on the cartridges. So the first number is the number of pellets, and the second one is the amount of damage. So copper does 5 per pellet, bronze does 6, and iron does 7. And 7 times 12 is 84, so that's 84 DPS compared to 70. However, so the 70 is direct damage, and all of those pellets have to hit for the shotgun to actually do that kind of damage, so it almost never does it against biters. It does do it against buildings, and this basically applies to vanilla as well, where if you're shooting biters, usually you're better off with the SMG, and if you're shooting buildings, you're better off with the cartridges. But at least we have a second weapon now, and we're going to have to start automating the ammo, and we have everything we need to do it. Let's see if we can just make it in line here. First, let's make those iron cartridges. And just like the rest of them, it's a tin plate, except now it uses iron pellets instead of bronze. But there we go, making the shotgun shells. Next one is making the iron magazine, which is iron plates and rods. There we go, we're not going to need this very quickly. And remember that you can do filters on your ammo slots. So we'll say we want an iron magazine and switch this one to iron cartridges and space this out. So now we're requesting them. It would be nice to test them in a bit. The one other thing that we were going to automate, because we're not actually holding on to any tin items under normal circumstances, are these transfer plates. So let's get these set up. It's tin plates and rods. I'm guessing 1 machine of each is fine. And plop this over here. So now we're getting our plates. Let's add more items to the inventory. Although, before we do that, we probably should take this opportunity to craft our new modular armor. And we're going to need a little bit of rubber for that. And did the iron run out, or is it just being used for things? It looks like it's just being used for things. But there's our modular armor. So we kind of do need to upgrade that iron. Or we could stop researching, because definitely a lot of the iron is going into the research. So perhaps we should slow it down after this. There we go. And plopping it on there gives us another row of slots. And unfortunately, again, these don't move down, so you're just going to have to deal with it. But let's put our transfer plates in there. Make request. Okay, well, now we have our new equipment grid, 5x5. So we'll pull everything out of that one, put it into the new one. But we have some new items to put in here. And it's actually kind of expensive. To be able to use electricity, first we need to have the steam engine, and I guess we need to actually build the combustion engines. You might think that you can just handcraft them because you don't need that many, and it's true that you really don't, but the big thing you'll build a lot of are the petrochem generators. And you need a lot of generators, and if you're constantly making these engines, you will find that it can actually be quite limiting. But they do go into things like cars, tanks, locomotives, so you will craft them, so we should add it to our list here. But now we have a steam generator, which of course requires an input of steam cells or canisters. And then we need something to actually use the power. So we'll do some night vision, and looks like we need rubber. And interestingly, we need iron ingots for belt immunity. But there we go. And the night vision. Belt immunity is small and can go anywhere. So we'll just plop it in there. However, the night vision is a 2x2 item. So if you want to have night vision, you're giving up a roboport slot. And if you want belt immunity, you're giving up another one for the steam engine. So it's up to you. I find that we don't really use that many robots, especially when we have the construction vehicles, and I'd much rather have night vision and belt immunity. And it doesn't fill up our batteries or anything. It's kind of weird like that, but if you can see, very tiny 4K pixels, that bar is going down. So it is consuming our power. And we just have these empty spots that unfortunately we can't do anything with right now. Well, we're out of iron, so that might explain why you're not getting more. But I suppose this is another good opportunity to test something else we have. And that's a car. Requires 40 rubber. So we're starting to find lots of uses for it. And I guess we should build 2, because we have 2 different uses of them. And there we go. Achievement unlocked. But now we have a car. Once it transfers the fuel. There we go. And it's much more maneuverable. There's something about that mono wheel that just does not turn very sharp compared to the car. You can see that the car can do a quite tight turning radius. However, the mono wheel, it just does not. It's much wider. I don't know how they program that, but it's way wider. It's like twice as big. But because we have a car now, we probably don't need the mono wheel anymore. I'm not sure what the top speed of the mono wheel would be, but we certainly would never use it if we have a car that has twice the health, plus you could shoot bullets from it. Oh, look at that. We finally finished getting rid of all of that junk. Cool. Well, let's put the efficiency modules back in and start dumping random stuff that we probably don't need anymore. Actually, we could make a request for the actual ammo now, because we know for a fact we don't want it. How come it's not taking it? I don't know, there might be something programmed in here that doesn't allow it to pick up ammo. So, manually place it. We might want those roboports for something. So I guess we'll just keep it in our little storage chest here. But now we have a car. Because it's so much faster, we potentially could save ourselves some time by actually making these requests bigger and ask for the whole amount and essentially make 2 trips instead of 1. So let's give it a shot. Well, it's certainly a lot nicer. It feels like it's at least twice as fast as a heavy roller. So it makes doing this a little less annoying, even though we will have trains soon. So, all delivered. Now we have a heavy roller that has no purpose. For now, I guess we can just park it. We might find a use for it someday. It's nice not being bumped around by belts anymore. And I guess the sun's about to go down, so we can see our night vision for the first time. And let's toss the mono wheel into the scrapping machine, because we just don't need it anymore. You can scrap essentially everything. However, one thing we can now make are combustion engines, so we might as well. And we don't need too many of them, so we don't have to go nuts with it. We just need to get these pistons basically all the way over here. And that's going to be a long distance. So do we do that and just have this belt keep going? I guess it doesn't get in the way of anything, so there's nothing inherently bad about it. And how many combustion engine machines should we make? I don't feel like we would need that many of them, but sometimes if you only build one of a machine, you might end up regretting it if it's really slow. So let's just build two. And there we go, night vision. It is kind of black and white, except where there is light, but we can now see at night. And also, because of radar night vision, that anywhere that we have radar, we will also have night vision. So we need to make two engine machines. It needs to have 2 gears and 2 plates. So we might actually have to space this down a little bit. It's been a while since we've had to smush things in here like this. Grabbing in there, and this might be the last use of these items. Guess we'll just jump under or over if we need to. Oop, I guess it did not reach that distance. But now that we have red belts, it does. And modules for everybody. And if only we had the iron, it would be making more. But make a new request on the bottom line. And there we go. Man, that iron disappears fast. I think we are very much at the point where we are becoming significantly limited by the output of our iron, but we kind of need trains to do any more than that. Kind of want to do some research, but I also kind of want to let iron catch up. So for now, how about we leave it and we tackle the last thing that we have access to, and that is landfill. And this is going to require a huge amount of stone, and we're not going to be able to support it with our 1 miner and our faraway base collecting the stone, and pollution is okay out there. But let's plan for significantly more than that, because eventually we'll be able to do it. And this is a job for Hellmod. So the goal is landfill. Who knows how much it's going to be. It comes out of an electric mixer, and this is something we could use productivities in. And I haven't really done a productivity calculation to show what it would do, so this might be a situation for that. And it's going to be a little weird because it requires gravel and silica comes from gravel. So we need to calculate for both and set it up for the electric crusher. To make our 1 landfill, we are going to need 11.25 stone, so let's try productivity modules, where it certainly makes the number go down. So from what, 11.25 to 9.41, we have saved a bit, but now it's 7 megawatts compared to none at all, which would have been 4.8, but in reality, it would have actually had efficiency modules, and it would have been 1.9. So that's a lot of electricity for just a tiny bit of stone, and it just doesn't seem worth it right now. When electricity is in great quantities later on, it might make more sense. Can we do direct insertion or anything like that, or should it just be on 1 common belt? I'm thinking a common belt, because stone can go in and then get crushed into gravel, and then that gravel goes down, and then some of the gravel gets pulled up to make silica, and then the 2 of them will go down to make landfill. So our limiting factor might be just the belts at the ends. Now we do have red belts, which means we could take more than this. However, the setup is already getting kind of big, and I guess we can see what speed modules would do to it. And we have the bouncing window. That is a bug I have not been able to figure out. It does not make sense to me. Like, it's fine here, but if we move it over here, it bounces. So I don't know. I really would like to see what's doing down there. A little bit, but maybe the best thing it could do is if it could make this like a 1-to-1 ratio, and it gets it pretty close. But even then, they wouldn't be direct inserted. So I think in this situation, it just kind of doesn't matter. Not to mention that we're going to be making a huge amount of landfill, which means it's going to take a huge amount of electricity to do it. So instead, how about we compute by factory and see what we can get out of this? If we do 4 of these, it would mostly max out a belt. Of course, we could do faster, but also we just don't want this setup to be enormous. So how about we go with this? Mostly max out a yellow belt on the input, and we will need some red belt in here in places. Like if we did 5 here, then this would be above what a red belt could do. It probably would still work in this circumstance, but let's just keep it below a red belt. And now we have a new build, and that's our first application of the electric mixer. Alright, we should have most of everything we need to make this build, so let's see what we can do. We kind of have 2 choices. Either way, it's probably going to be a very long and narrow machine. I was thinking I'd do them all in a row like that, but that's kind of a lot. So we'll put 12 crushers in here. The input belt for the stone is there. Another set of them up here. Then the output belt right there. And we can at least skip every other slot here. However, that does mean there won't be any room for lights, except at the ends. But we do have night vision now, so hopefully it won't matter as much. So this will be gravel right here. Let's just put some spaces in there so it can look nice and consistent, where this is the input side for these machines, and then they will output onto that belt. And now we need 16 of these. Oop, finally, the iron's making it to the end here. Not for long though, as we start picking up more items. And now at the end we will have 2 belts, one with the gravel and one with the silica. So now we can have our landfill machines from the mixers. It's hard to say exactly how much landfill we'd want, but for now, how about having a pallet on each side, just to pick up 1 stack from every machine, and that'll do it. It's a very narrow build. That said, we could make it a little more squarish if we did a U on it. We'll see what kind of space we have and go from there. Because what kind of space do we have? Well, I mean, this is a very narrow area right here. But it's kind of hard to say which shape would have ended up being better. Although this would work, like right here. Would traversing the factory be annoying if this was right here? Probably. Fortunately, there's just kind of a lot of water and stuff everywhere, so there's really not a lot of places to actually put really any builds. I do want to kind of cut it in half though, that might help. So what if we did like that, and had this be basically right next to it? Yeah, seems like that would work and it wouldn't be in the way of too much. You do want to be careful when you build annoying shapes like this, that it doesn't end up getting in the way somehow. Looks like we're running out of iron, so it's time for another trip. This time we should have 1.5 trips worth of resources just sitting in chests, because part of the annoyance is just walking over there to actually drive it, that making 2 trips isn't that much more time consuming than just making 1. So here we go, and it's so much more maneuverable. Well, that can happen. So being fast has its disadvantage. We should be able to drop this without even stopping, if we just drive over the plate. And hopefully it pulls fast enough. And it looks like it did. Didn't really set this up with this in mind, but you don't actually have to stop. That should be most of it. So now it just needs the input of stone. We'll give a priority to the left to make sure that we're always making glass, because landfill is a low priority thing. So first we're making the gravel, and I think this belt actually needed to be red. At least until this point, but let's just make the whole thing red. Because then we're making the silica. And that belt actually needs to be red too. Actually, because of these input requirements, we might need more inserters. And we actually do. So we need to have more machines in this, just because of inserter limitations. We essentially need twice as many. Well, okay. Nonetheless, we are making landfill now. And we have water in the way. And landfill makes that go away. Fortunately though, you just don't make it very fast. But it's nice having it cleaned up. And here we go again. We need more. So hopefully that's enough. We have 2.81 times 8 of input of each type. So that's 22. And we're making 18.75. So this should be enough. Of course, the stone is now falling behind, but that's to be expected. It's pretty noisy in there. So there we go. Landfill. I don't know if a transfer plate's actually going to reach all this stuff. Unfortunately, not really. Nonetheless, though, We can just kind of put a few here. Make a request for at least one stack. And go from there. Well, now that stone is running out, it's time for another trip. This heavy roller only briefly had this duty, but it's done because we have a much faster vehicle. It's a little hard to stay on this road with the car being this fast, but it is what it is. And there it is. Test our new bus and fill up on all of our resources. We don't really need these speed modules anymore. One thing you can do is format the modules and create the computers, which then can be used for other purposes. So if you have too many modules, it's not too big a deal. And as far as what to do next, we just want to look at what's our biggest annoyance, and let's solve that. And I would say it's probably having to go out to these distant mines to pick up resources and bring them back. It will make the mines much bigger to have to protect an entire train station, but we have the resources for that now. And because we have the landfill, we won't have to worry about water getting in our way. Not to mention that making rails also requires stone, and interestingly it takes iron ingots as opposed to any other thing. So it's quite expensive to make one rail, but otherwise the ingredients that go into the locomotive and cargo wagon are the types of things you would expect from IR3. The locomotive is a very expensive machine at 155 iron, but we have automated all of the parts that go into it. So it's as simple as 4-second handcraft to make it. And same with the cargo wagons. We're just not going to need enough of those to automate them. So we hit that, and we might as well get all the train stuff. We can do a fluid wagon, which requires various iron items. And of course, we are not going to be piloting these trains manually. They are going to be automatic, which means we're going to need train stops, which requires some iron items plus a rail signal. And that rail signal, we could handcraft that. Everything there we'd have in our inventory. And same with the chain signal as well. It might be kind of annoying to do that, but I feel like automating rail signals is a robot logistics era thing to do, because we're just not going to need that many rail signals. Not to mention, this is not going to be a very complicated network. So all of this can be handcrafted with items we already have in our inventory. And we could also upgrade the braking force, but that's a lot of research that we can do at any time. That just makes the trains a little faster. So we will do that a little later to try to save on iron. Well, now that we have a full load of ammo, I suppose the last thing to do is to find some biters and to test it out. Let's go to the east here. And I heard the turning off of the night vision, which means we are timing this perfectly. I suppose the better our shotgun gets, the less good the scatterbots will become, because now our shotgun actually does more damage than the scatterbots, although there are 5 of them. So because of that, that will help, but let's see what we can do. It's kind of a long walk to get out here. So there's only a couple of them, but let's give it a shot. I will help with the shotgun. Certainly good. Now we'll try again with the SMG. It'll have a lot of convenient direct damage, but one thing to keep in mind is that it will be a projectile now, which is probably a little unusual for Factorio, but it works. It's just very weird actually seeing the shots and knowing that they can miss, but it really helps when you're like firing at these worms from far away. Man, they're doing a lot of damage. This is a hard group of fighters to take down. But that SMG really helped. I have the feeling if we had to get a lot closer, that would have been a little dangerous. And we used like half of the ammo, so you can definitely tell that the shotgun shells are much, much more efficient for your ammo if that's something that you care about. In the end, it's usually not that important, but if you're getting attacked by a lot of biters, you might actually want to consider using shotgun turrets just to save the iron. That's a weird place for a rubber tree, just kind of on the cliff like that. It's basically by itself. Oh, good thing we don't need the rubber trees anymore, so it can stay. And our rubber tree forestries are basically at full blast. they have fully populated a little rubber tree grove right here. It is definitely time to upgrade our iron output to 15 a second so it can maximize our bus. But doing that on the car, driving back and forth over and over, would be kind of annoying. So this is a perfect job for trains. But that's going to have to wait until the next episode. Thanks for watching, and I will see you later.